said talk to me, damn it, or else I'm gonna throw you in the fire!
You stupid bitch, you filthy... Flyover State of Fear. Welcome back to Flyover State of Fear. I have a great guest joining me this week, Bryan from DEAD in Santa Carla podcast. Welcome, Bryan. How's it going?
Hey, it's going great. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me to come on and hang out with you, man.
Yeah, man, no problem. If you guys aren't aware, any new listeners, we also had Andy from DEAD in Santa Carla on a couple episodes ago talking Lost Boys, which is perfect. How are you? How's it going? What's new? Or
not much new. It's a Monday night here in Kansas City, and the Chiefs have just advanced to the AFC Championship. So everybody around here is being mildly excited and even a little irritating,
and in the most dramatic fashion. I mean.
Yeah, that was one of the best games I'd ever seen in my life. Yeah. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Whoever won that coin toss was gonna probably win that game.
They were all marching. Those defenses were gassed.
Yeah, defenses were done. Yeah, you're absolutely. They had checked out midway through the third quarter.
Yeah, I watched the first half, and then they were like kind of re-binging Dexter for the first time in like 10 years.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, you know what? I'll put on like an episode and then come back in the fourth. And then holy shit, like my wife's getting ready for bed, and I'm like, do you know what just happened in the last 2 minutes?
Oh man, it was unreal.
Points. And
it was unreal. It's exciting if you're fans of both of those teams, because obviously we were talking a little bit before we started recording. You know, I'm not a Chiefs fan; I'm a Ravens fan. But if you're a Chiefs fan or a Bills fan, those two guys being in the AFC, they are truly destined to be doing this for the rest of their careers. Because I truly think that Josh Allen is an absolute winner, and he's going to win a championship.
I think so.
I think the world of Patrick Mahomes too. I think he's a wonderful quarterback, and I mean, obviously, this is four straight.
I mean, you're Ravens. Welcome to the Flyover State of Sports, but no, your Ravens though. You guys are fun. That was the nicest stadium I've ever been to, by the way.
Ravens
stadium.
Yeah, it's nice. I've been to a game there once.
Yeah, I went to Jets Ravens like 3 years ago. Whenever they clinched their seed.
Oh, okay.
And then the Jets were dog shit, and people were like, "Oh no!" I'm like, "No, this is great. I'm celebrating your win. I just came out to go to a game."
Yeah.
Anyway, good to hear. No, that's good. Jersey, we have nothing. We have sad sports teams. But by that I mean New York and New Jersey. And I'm more in the Philly area too, and even that's we don't talk about them.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, really, thanks for joining me on this show. And having said that, and the part of the show for any new listeners, what's your horror origin story? And what that means kind of is it could mean anything to you. Kind of what got you into the genre, or what did you host a horror podcast? So
okay, I think it all started when I was really young, and I the first horror movie that I remember seeing relatively vividly is The Fog from John Carpenter.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that's really what started me and started my passion for horror. My favorite movie of all time, whether it be horror or any genre, is Halloween.
Okay, and, I didn't even realize I was wearing.
Yeah, you have a great looking shirt on.
Thank you, Walmart. I had a sweatshirt on when we started, and it's too hot in here, so I forgot I put this on this morning.
Yeah, it's Halloween's my favorite of all time. I'm a huge John Carpenter fan. I love most all of his movies. Even his stuff that people kind of give him shit for, like Memoirs of an Invisible Man. I kind of find love.
Yeah, Vampires.
Vampires is another one. Ghosts of Mars is
what,
another one.
What do you think of the new I just gotta ask. What do you think of the recent Halloween review?
The newest one, Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
I
guess both.
Well, I love Halloween 2018.
Okay.
I think that
I'm in the
feels like a John Carpenter Halloween movie.
Yeah.
More than most have.
Sure.
I mean, the stalking element was there.
I liked it. I didn't love it.
That's fair too.
I was more of a one of those annoying hipsters. It was more of like H2O did Laurie better, and I was getting like just like more of like a character growth. I was like, it makes more sense. And it's just, but that's a whole different rant of.
That's a fun one to go on though.
And it would so I like both, and then Kills. I mean, we've never done a review on this channel, and that was the first time we did a review because we all like got back from the theater and we're like, we got to get on and talk about it because we were all just like,
right.
Thought it was so ridiculous.
The dialogue is not good in that.
The dialogue is John bad. Well, Halloween, evil dies. So, but so The Fog, that's and that's a blind spot for me in all honesty. For John Carpenter and just horror movies, The Fog's one I've missed. I almost bought it recently when Shout had that John Carpenter birthday sale.
Oh, okay, yeah. If you can find do you have? Well, I don't know if you have 4K player.
I do.
Okay, yeah. There's a really, really, really good 4K version that you can get. That's I believe European.
Gotcha.
The 4K plays in American 4K players though, so I bought it, and
good to know.
It's got a great 4K transfer. It looks so good.
The
Blu-ray will be useless to you.
Okay,
it's region coded, but
gotcha.
the 4K is region free.
Today, it's funny you mentioned. So I just got a 4K player for Christmas, and I'm a physical media collector, and I've been searching forever, like everyone else, for a Dawn of the Dead copy because they don't, it's not in production.
Right.
Today I did eBayed a region-free 4K Dawn of the Dead special edition.
Fantastic, that's awesome.
I was like, you know what, it's worth it. It's not, it was like $50, which was still cheaper than the other ones, and I was like, it's just not going to be available again. It's only
you're right. You got to jump on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so that's awesome. And then like just from listening to you and from some of your show and we were talking earlier, and like you guys are so like grew up and knowledgeable and invested in like those the 80s horrors too, because you mentioned The Fog and those deep things, and I feel like that's where we're going to talk about today. That My Bloody Valentine probably comes into play, right?
Yeah. I saw that really early, way earlier than I should have. I mean, I was only 4 in 1981, so
okay.
Because I'm 44 years old now. My goodness, I keep saying that out loud.
I turned 30 in the next month.
You're still shiny. Yeah,
I know. But I also saw a lot of things young myself, so I totally get it. Where you're whether it was horror or comedy, more comedy, and then horror you flirt it with. So you're the first one to say The Fog, which is cool.
Yeah, I love that. Love that movie. I love the lore that movie established. I think that the bones of the mythology of that movie is its absolute strength.
Gotcha.
Storytelling wise, it's probably a little weak. Honestly, it's not structured super great. It cuts away a whole lot during that movie.
That's what 3. If you're just counting Halloween's to start, that's what is third feature.
Well, if you count Halloween,
I'm just counting as a start, not
I think he did the Fog. I believe came out in 80 or 81.
Yeah, so it's right before The Thing.
Yeah, I think that was the movie. I think The Fog is what he actually did right after Halloween.
Okay, that's what it is. And then that's fun. And then I still have been asking people recently, especially people in the horror community like yourself, do you get scared still from movies?
I don't get scared, but I get that rush.
Yeah.
I get that not the feeling of fear, I don't think necessarily. But I get that rush of what's getting ready to fucking happen, that kind of thing. I think the anticipation of the scare is what I really like nowadays,
Gotcha.
because it doesn't actually scare me anymore, I don't think. But
No,
the
I
anticipation of it happening is exciting to me.
no, that's cool.
So
I still it's what we're talking about today and all those slashers, other things. When they involve exorcisms or supernatural, it still gets me.
that's great. I'm glad that that does that to you, because there's a few movies that have kind of gotten me like that. Like, I think Sinister scared me. That's a scary
It's
ass
just
movie, man.
so I love that movie, and it's weird
Oh,
that
so
movie
good.
didn't get me like that. But and listeners of the show will I sorry talk about my wife all the time, but so she doesn't do horror movies. Completely like I was watching Chuck the other week, and she's like I woke up and I had a dream and it was on the background. Like that level, like but you know when you first start dating,
Mhm.
and you people are a little not as vocal and a little more passive of like what their interests or disinterests
Okay,
are.
yeah.
So we're out at like a fright fest. She could do that. The group we're with is Sinister's out in theaters. We're in college. We're like, let's go to the movies. We're done with this. She doesn't say no, and I took her to the theater to see Sinister, and I had no idea. It like
And
you
it
know
destroyed her.
it destroyed her. She looked at, and then I did the same thing. She's like, well, she handled Sinister, and I didn't read any of the reviews. Like a few months later, for Evil Dead remake, which is one of the
Oh
scariest,
god.
goriest things you possibly could. And I was like, no, the other ones are real silly. Like it's a little, nope. So never again. I that was year one, even ruined all of that. So it's funny you mentioned Sinister because I can't not think about that now. Where I'm still like, I'm sorry.
You're still apologizing
Yeah,
to your wife. You guys were just dating at the time?
yeah. We were just,
Yeah.
I would say, within the first year of dating.
Bro, it sounds
Or
like you're lucky she married you.
yeah, yeah. I would have been like, because now today, not even 2 years in, I'd be like, hell no, I'm not. But at the time, I was like, okay, everyone else, and like,
So
anyway,
after Evil Dead, did she put the foot down? She's like, "All right,
yeah,
look, dude."
yeah, yeah. And I should have known. That was one where the trailer even like creeped me out of like not paying attention, waking up in the middle of the night, and they advertise with the demon under the stairs. If you
Mhm.
remember those
Yeah.
trailers,
Oh yeah.
and that made me jump start with like falling asleep watching. So I should have been smarter. But
That's a good
anyway,
remake. That is a really good remake.
yeah,
Or or whatever they want to call it, because
yeah. I
it's
guess
kind
yeah.
of a sequel in a way, because it's kind of connected there, because at the post credit scene and stuff. So
There's a
yeah,
new one, I
yeah,
think,
Evil
coming
Dead
out.
Rise. I think it's
Yeah,
supposed to come out this year. I want to say
yeah, and
2022.
we did cover that. If anyone listening, go check out the Evil Dead remake.
Oh,
I
nice.
think I'm not a big fan of the term, but I think because of the new Scream, they're trying to get the word requel to work.
They are trying to get the root.
I like
I like Sea Boot better.
I haven't heard of Reboot. I like reboot quel.
Reboot cool.
Yeah,
I
I
like.
think we all have
I
different
like. I think I
phrases.
like Sea Boot.
Seaboot. All right,
Sea
that's a
Boot.
good one.
Right
Speaking
on.
of sea boots, I'm terrible at segues. Um, Brian chose My Bloody Valentine, 1981's,
Yes, I.
um, and this was a remake. And I'll be honest, I thought I had seen this movie,
Hmm?
and that was a lie. I watched the remake,
Okay. Okay.
and I kind of only remembered bits and pieces of the remake too. Like it's like so staticky that I was like, all right, and it's considered the remake. If we just talk about it for a minute before we is considered one of the better remakes. They say,
Yeah,
and
they say that.
it's
They do.
it's. Uh,
I don't hate it.
I watched like an hour of it today. Just put it on while I was working, and um, I didn't hate it what I watched, but it just makes me laugh that like Todd Farmer wrote it, and he wrote the same things in all of his movies for him just to get naked with the hot blonde
Yeah.
and like and look like Stone Cold Steve Austin, and
Yeah.
that's all I remember from the
Yeah.
and that came out the same year as the Friday the 13th remake.
It did. Yeah. 2009.
Yeah,
Yeah. I went and
so
seen that in the movie theater when it came out. Both of them. I went and saw My Bloody Valentine, obviously, because I have such a love for the
yeah,
original. But what sold me on it was the 3D aspect.
yeah.
And
How was that?
honestly, man, it was a blast. The 3D in that movie was so fun, and the it was the earliest, one of the earliest versions anyway, of the new 3D technology that we have, like that real 3D technology. So the quality is so much better than what we used to get in the 80s from like when Friday the 13th was in 3D and Jaws 3D came out and all those really bad 3D movies. But the 3D was done really, really well in the 09 reboot of MBV. I have issues with that movie though. And some of my to be fast about it, I guess, because we aren't talking about this movie. But
I figured I'd just bring it up. But
well, my issues with the movie are that they didn't really establish Valentine's Day deeply for the lore of the movie. The Valentine's Day really means something in the original one. The town is named Valentine Bluff. You know, I mean, they had a Valentine's thing every year because of the name of the town and shit like that. So the lore there's more for Valentine's Day in the lore. This could have the reboot could have taken place in any fucking day.
Sure.
And the mine in the original is almost a whole character. It's such an integral part of the final act, and the whole backdrop of the movie is contingent on this mine. And they only use it a couple of times in the reboot. Like a lot of a movie takes place above the surface, and
only thing that's good. That's very well put way of that remake. And the only thing I want to bring up if we actually move to the movie is that it does let Tom Atkins just like run around on a movie, and I love anything with Tom Atkins.
I am a Tom Atkins fan as well. Yeah,
so Atkins heads.
Yeah.
But other than that, and the other thing, because I spent a lot of time in them, and both of them have the same feel of the one being set in like a PA coal mining town. The original also feels like, if I didn't know it was Canadian, that's what it is. It's anywhere in Western Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And in fact, I believe TJ is wearing a Steelers staff shirt.
I think you're right.
In one of the bar scenes in the first bar scene in the movie, I believe, when the guys are playing that knife game where
So I will get into that. So real quick, I have not read it since I copy and pasted. I'm gonna read the synopsis to see if it makes any sense.
Okay.
To what the movie is. It's actually one sentence. This is pulled from if you Google it. Friends defy the rules of a legendary murderer and discover he is real when they start celebrating Valentine's Day. Kind of. Kind of.
Yeah, they touched on a couple of things.
It's better than the Scream description you get when you Google it.
Oh yeah,
because the Scream description is legendary movie that changed the genre. Like, but okay, all right. But My Bloody Valentine, get the stuff out of the way. $2.3 million budget, gross $5.6 million. So it wasn't really profitable, which is a shame because we'll get to it later. But it stunned me to learn there was no sequel at all. Not even a moneymaker sequel of like we have rights name. Other than that, directed by George McCullough. And I thought it was cool. The only other thing that it actually released in February around Valentine's Day.
Yep, February 11th.
Yeah. Other than that, we start off inside the mine, and actually we start off thinking we're gonna get like a classic slasher topless scene.
Yeah.
I should say with my favorite part of the whole thing is, because I have my issues with the movie as itself, and I'll get to them. We get to them. Is the look? I love this killer.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think aesthetically, The Miner is one of the best looking slashers ever. Yeah, he is so cool looking. He's got a great silhouette. He's just got a fucking really slick, cool, sexy look. I love it. Yeah.
It's clean. It makes sense to what we're doing. There's no mystery in there. And it starts off with the kill of a woman topless flirting with a miner who I just imagine is who she thinks is her like boyfriend or something like that.
Right.
And the axe goes right through this like sailor style heart tattoo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we get the opening credits. Really, just a graphic designer, I'm always appreciative of a really slick, fun like logo in a movie.
Yeah.
So we get the My Bloody Valentine, and then we kind of start. And this is
that,
where,
real quick, that kill.
yeah,
and we talked about it a little bit before we started recording. There's an uncut version and the theatrical version, and you watched the theatrical.
I watched the theatrical like an
idiot. That kill considerably more graphic.
Is it? Okay.
Yes, pretty much every kill in this movie was literally butchered.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because there's some really top-notch practical effects that was used in this movie that most people have never seen.
Okay,
and now you can buy the uncut version, and you've got it.
Honestly, it's not, for anyone listening, it's not expensive if you
No,
want
it's
that.
just
But
on
it's like
the
15
Get the
bucks.
Shout Factory collector's edition that came out last year, because it was 40 years old last year, and they did a really nice. I actually got the back there. I've got you may not see it.
It's a little too dark.
Got I bought the collector's edition that came with a minor doll.
Oh, that's cool.
It came with a Valentine that you open it and it says roses are red, violets are blue, one is dead, and so are you. I went all out and I bought, and it came with a lithograph and everything too. Regardless, this kill looks so sick uncut, man. You see the axe poke out through her chest and everything. It's
okay. I thought when I read it, I was like, oh, okay, it's Hollis's death, and then the other woman, and that's all you miss.
Oh, it's every death pretty much.
Oh, okay. God damn it! All right. We'll record in like another week. I gotta watch. It's funny you mentioned the Shout Factory, and I wish I bought it years ago. Talking about Tom Atkins a little bit, they sold the Night of the Creeps special edition, the Tom Atkins action figure with a Miller Lite can and like a pack of smokes and a shotgun.
That's fucking wonderful, bro.
And I regret not buying it.
Oh, man.
It's too much on the secondary, but it was like in time. I remember like, oh, this would be fun. I can't. I can't blow 60. What I was doing at the time, I was like, I can't blow $60 on a. Now I'm like, I would have not even thought about it.
Yeah.
Sounds
awesome.
So the movie does start though. All right. So we do know every kill. So I'll let you elaborate on any kill.
I'd be happy to. Yes.
And we get the mayor. First thing I want to say about the mayor, not to be political, the man looks just like Jim Jordan. That's Congressman. I mean, side by side, the gray hair. Yeah, like too much.
Oh shit.
It's all I could think of the whole time. But it's a very Canadian movie, and it's in Canadian. We learn through the mayor. Was he explaining to the sheriff, right?
Yeah.
They're setting up the dance, and it's like, it's really great about movies like this. We get a good exposition in real time of learning why that Harry Warden, a psycho or a minor, murdered everyone or did a murder on a Valentine's Day dance, and when he was caught, warned, never have another Valentine's Day dance, and that's just kind of the meat of the setup of the movie.
Yeah, the lore is pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward, but what's great about it is that it makes sense for this town to be super into Valentine's Day because their name is Valentine's Bluff, and they and of course, you touched on it really. The reason he's killing people is because these guys abandoned their position at the mine to go to a Valentine's party, and it caused their negligence caused a explosion.
Yeah.
They didn't check the methane levels and trapped people. They were in there. It says Happy's the bartender telling that story. Yeah. They were in there for 6 weeks, bro.
Holy shit. I must admit,
6 fucking weeks they were trapped down there, and then Harry Warden was the only survivor, and he had eaten the dead bodies to stay alive. So that is when the cannibalism started.
Yeah, it was Yellow Jacket stuff.
Yeah, it's there you go. Yeah, very Yellow Jackets. Yeah,
but no, like I said, first watch though, and taking notes, you miss things. And I do love the bartender or someone at the bar. I've been calling them do mouths. just the that's just a. Cause I always forget the name of it. Like in Friday the 13th of like, don't go in there.
Oh yeah, the Prophet of Dooms.
Prophet of Dooms. I've been calling them masks.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like it.
But because I let my note is here, great exposition dump, great Prophet of Doom.
Right.
It all makes sense. I said I've spent some good time in those bars just because of like where I went to school and who I'm like friends with in PA, like in the PA equivalent of those. That's what they are.
Oh, no shit.
Those type of bars. A lot of old heads hang out with the just young guys in there. Very masculine.
a lot of masculinity getting thrown around.
and like that, and that's that vibe hasn't changed.
No, I would imagine not.
One of my best friends lives in one of these depressed coal mining towns. Every time we go out, I love it because we like. Still to this day, probably then the bar was probably a nickel for a beer. It's like $1 still.
Oh shit! Oh wow! I need to go drink there.
It's like a shitty person from a city-ish. I'm like, this is great, and they're like, yeah, leave me alone. So I understood that from this movie's perspective, and but we get introduced to the mayor and the sheriff and Miriam, kind of like I don't. Oh, she ran the laundromat.
Oh yeah, you mean Mabel?
Sorry,
yeah,
Mabel.
That's right.
I wrote Miriam and then cross out Mabel. We meet Mabel setting up, and she's all happy that she gets to run the dance again, and they're just a bit older, and you kind of meet the kids, and I think that's one of my little criticisms of this movie is, even how simple and straightforward it is, you have a hard time connecting to any sort of protagonist. They don't spend a lot of time with any character. You're
kind of right, and honestly, the protagonists in this movie are kind of pieces of shit.
Oh,
there is truly only one genuinely good person in that whole fucking group of friends, and it's Hollis.
I loved Hollis.
Yeah, of course you loved Hollis because he wasn't a shitbag. Yeah. He was actually a good dude, but like, and that's played by Keith Knight. He plays Hollis. But like our two, I'm going to use protagonists that were kind of by.
Use whatever word.
Yeah, TJ and Axel.
Yes.
And TJ and Axel are both the most toxic masculine pieces of shit, man.
They're so toxic, and they're so dramatic.
Very, yes. TJ apparently moved away and couldn't hack it in California.
I kept trying to figure out, like, that's another. They didn't give you why he moved away. They're like, you just moved away.
Yeah, and they don't, and they never do explain it. Yeah, he just leaves. He left his girl and then didn't talk to her for years, and then shows up and he's like, why are you seeing someone else?
Well, that's how women work. That's how women work, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, he's so... And then there's this love. It's like the most forced love triangle because, like,
much, yes.
I mean, this isn't competing with Friday the 13th really because they're released in the same year. It's just like we have another slasher, and the original name wasn't even going to be My Bloody Valentine. It was going to be The Secret.
The Secret, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that name is actually even referenced in the song at the end of the movie. Did you listen to the song?
I didn't.
The Ballad of Harry Warden. It's one of the greatest songs ever written.
I love that these movies have songs. Recently, the previous episode, I just did Child's Play.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm a diehard Chucky fan, Child's Play fan.
Love it.
And explaining and just doing more research on it, there was a song for that for the first movie also.
Oh.
There was. That was not included in the credits because it's like like a pop song. Almost.
I remember reading that somewhere. I've never heard it though.
All right, there's a few things I gotta text you after this recording.
Yes, definitely do.
One of them is gonna be that song that's in a VHS promo from like '87, and they play the whole thing, and like it's awesome. It's like Chucky selling the VHS for $90. That's how much it cost, which blew my shell.
You know, I've paid a lot of money for a VHS back in the day.
Yeah, I didn't know. But anyway, I'll just send you that. So it makes sense there was a song for this. I feel like a lot of these movies had songs. I didn't listen to it. I actually, full disclosure, I put this on early. watched it in the last 10 minutes. I had to run out and get my hair cut, so I had to resume the next 10 minutes. I got back, and then the day started. But we have our notebook. I did watch
handy dandy notebook. There you
go. So we get all this set up for the dance, and we do learn. We just kind of said, like, we try to kind of explain it who our characters are.
Right.
Didn't the one guy also, TJ? Doesn't he look like a poor man's what's his name? From Star Wars.
Poor man's Harrison Ford?
No, the new one.
The poor
Oh God, why am I
like
my wife's
Oscar
Isaac. Poor man's Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, it kind of does, yeah.
A little bit, not as handsome, but like poor man's Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
And TJ, that's what I was doing with this. I was casting the people who would be today.
Oh, I like it.
Because TJ would be Aaron Eckhart.
I see it.
and Hollis would be Paul Walter Hauser.
Okay.
From Richard Jewell and Cobra Kai. And
yeah.
So anyway, that's what I was doing. So if you want, but all I could think of is this is a poor man's Oscar Isaac. It's the face. It's his eyes.
I see it now, though. Yeah, you're right. He does look like Oscar Isaac. Yep.
But so they're having the dance. We meet our people, and you know what I like too. Who Hollis hooks up with.
Oh yeah, that's
girl in the red dress.
Patty, I think is her name.
She wears the red dress, and what's funny about the red dress, jumping around here, she talks about how sleek and like sexy her dress is with a slit in the side, and they show the dress, and there's no slit in the side.
You're right, there's not.
But I like those two, but everyone else just pieces of shit.
They're pretty much garbage, man. Like everybody, even Howard is a douchebag. Both of our male leads with TJ and Axel are both douchebags because TJ abandoned his fucking girlfriend and talked to her for years, and then Axel is super fucking possessive and shit, and
we'll learn why.
Yeah, I mean, we do.
And that's enough. But yeah, and it as just if it comes out of nowhere, like you can tell they were like, we need drama.
I want to say something real quick. There's a funny part where they had just come up from working early in the movie, and they're showering and they're cleaning up, and there's a guy named John. His name's Rob Stein plays him. It's John, and they're showering, and he is the biggest dumbass. Like they're all talking and they're having a good time. You know, the vibe is high, morale's good, man. Everybody's laughing. And John says to TJ, because TJ says, "Oh, I see nothing's ever changed around here. You know, you guys are all still goofball balls or whatever." How exactly puts it. And then John says, "Yeah, I bet you wish you never come back now that Axel's dating Sarah." And it's like fucking Buzz Killington. Like the vibe just completely shuts the fuck down. And it's like they all look at him like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, dude?"
Thanks, John.
Yeah, everyone's like, "Man, we were all having a good old time, and here you go. You got to open your stupid fucking yapper." But yeah, I just love that.
Yeah, it's goofy.
Buzz Killington up here.
It's fucking goofy. And then I think after that, like we've just established a dance. That was another thing. I know I'm hung up on this intro part. Is the longest time I was like, how old are these people? Because they
look like they're in their mid-40s.
Yeah, they look for like we like earlier we each said our ages. We each look younger than the men trying to play I'm like they're not. They can't be older than me because they're too concerned about a dance. That's like the number one. So
I imagine
they're a bunch of 20-year-olds,
mid-20s, yeah,
mid-20s, and dance is on, and that's like the number one thing on everyone's mind. Once again, I still really don't get the appeal of it because they're all hanging out at their bar anyway.
Yeah, I know it's kind of. I guess, like I said, with the name of the town being Valentine's Day is a big deal to this town, and they haven't celebrated it for.
And I'm just being critical. It doesn't ruin the movie. Doesn't move the movie at all. But our chief police, or Jim Jordan, whoever you want to call him, he finds the heart of the woman that was cut out in the beginning.
Yeah. They send it to the mayor. They send it to the mayor
in a box, and he views it. And I wanted to ask you, can that small town doctor easily tell the age and gender from the heart?
No, I don't think in 1981 this doctor, because he's not. I will say this though, the doctor, he's not from that town because they have to go out of town to get it looked at. Because he mentions, he's like, "What's going on in Valentine Bluff?" But yeah, he does. He rolls in. They're wondering if it's a human heart, and he says, "Oh, it's a human, all right. A young woman."
Yeah, he's like 30 years old.
I don't know if he would have been able to look at a heart and tell it like that, but
it was good. And I do like in this movie though, this small town of it owns its Canada-ness, which is nice. Like everyone's very polite and earnest and like kind of doe-eyed, like everyone. And like so it's not as good as the other Canadian slasher, which it reminded me a lot of, which is Black Christmas.
Black Christmas is a masterpiece.
And there were moments in this that really reminded me of Black Christmas, like look-wise ish, and then also Sleepaway Camp.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's like certain scenes I'm like, oh, that's the same, like the ending reveal of the flashback. That's straight up Sleepaway Camp.
Yep, very, yeah.
But anyway, so we find the heart, and now they know the murder's back. And instead of we get the mayor is for a minute is the mayor from Jaws.
Just a little bit, yeah.
He's like, well, we can't pull the cord on the dance yet. Right. When it's a town of 60 people, that's the most important thing. Like,
yeah, this is very much a small town. That should have been immediately. Yeah, we're not having dance. He literally should have went and shut it down right then and there.
There's an urban legend about this. There's a fucking nursery rhyme. You get a poetic note. That's that.
Yep.
And then, excuse me if I'm skipping anything. Then this movie does have a nice pace, and we jump almost to the next kill, which was the most upsetting.
Yeah, it almost does, because from here, we go to the bar sequence where Axel and Hollis are goofing around with their knives, and they're playing that game that tough guys play.
Have you ever played?
No, fuck no. I've never played that.
I'm not fast, but I've been 18 and done that before, and then didn't get fast enough. I'm doing it now with the pen. So
no. Now if I had done that, it would have been with a pencil and not a knife.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I did it with a steak knife one round. But I was like, all right, like I said, I got the vibe. That's not me at all, or even friends. But I got the vibe with the places they hit.
Right, yeah. You mentioned that earlier, yeah. Right.
And like even the women are like used to all right, this is the usual. That's not.
Yeah,
I think it does make sense.
They sing a song to a waitress there.
Yeah.
And she's a virgin, and they got a song that they had all gotten together and composed and rehearsed for this girl.
You know how dudes do?
Dude's gonna dude. You're right.
That's another odd thing about this movie is like something like that happens. So I'm like, all right, well, this is gonna be full on like sleaze, like nudity, hardcore violence. And I know the movie got butchered from the MPAA, but it's not.
No, there's no nudity whatsoever in this movie.
But it seems like that from things like that and the intro.
Yeah.
And because that's like I said before we started recording, there's a little oddities of fun facts here. Like it's far in between. And like one of the director believes that the censorship was so harsh because of the death of John Lennon.
Oh yeah, he did mention that. Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting because like, I mean, even today, like real world events affect how sometimes moment in times happen. That's just his theory because he's pretty vocal about it. I mean, so if you do want to watch his full edit, like I said, I wish I recorded, watch the unrated. So we're at the bar, and yeah, we kind of learned the dynamic a bit more now, and you see that cool knife scene. That's really what stood out for me was that knife scene.
Mhm.
And then we cut to Mabel.
Right. Yeah,
And that's I hate to say it because I like she's a interesting character on Scream.
she's a good character. Yeah.
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 And they kill her so early, but it's such a good death.
It's a great death and an even better reveal in the uncut version. It's
okay.
Because
So elaborate on that because I was gonna.
yeah, they obviously she gets killed because she gets pickaxed. They don't show her actual death, but they do show the reveal when the sheriff comes the next day to talk about the dance. They because at this point, what's finally happened is I believe they've finally decided to go ahead and talk to her about canceling the dance. But when the sheriff finds her body because it pops out of a dryer.
And it's practical effect of to make this so nice.
It's so good, yes. Now, when in the uncut version, her body spins around like 10 times in that dryer, flopping all over.
Brian, I must have seen the uncut version or something like that at one point because I could have swore, if you asked me, oh yeah, the woman's body's spinning in the dryer, I remember that, and I didn't see it in the cut, so I was like, there's little things you'll remember here or there, and that's what I remember. It's a body spinning in a dryer.
Yeah, you might have caught it just in passing,
maybe.
Know, something. But
maybe Shudder. I think I might have put it on. I think Shudder might have had it for a minute.
They might have.
And I may have put it on and I watched it.
Right. I understand.
I used air quotes for anyone listening. Watched it.
Anyway. That reveal is so savage in the uncut version because her body just flops and flops and flops.
And she's so sweet too.
She
which
was
is just
sweet.
It's upsetting. So yeah, and then this is for anyone. This is where these movies, even Friday the 13th gets any of them really. For me, I lose focus on what the characters are doing and not the kills when they're not in. Just don't listen to. I watched Friday the 13th for the first time this year, all of them.
Oh, okay.
Once again, bought the Scream Factory.
Great collection.
Yeah, I like the piece more, and I think they're fine. I watched them all. How to review them. I did them for film, Flyover State of Film for your franchise. Don't listen to the episode. It's a 4-hour episode, and by the time I spoke, I was hammered drunk and could barely get through these. But in watching, I didn't watch them and that we don't. I mean, I have wine today, but I normally don't do that. But that show over Halloween special, that's that. Yeah, heavily drinking. Anyway, mentioning that though, and what I want to hear is that's what I realized a lot of these 80s slashers for me is they even at the good pace, I do lose a little memory always of what have the characters happened to.
Right. Yeah.
In between kills. Mm-hmm. So this is one of those points where I want to where do we jump through next?
Well, right. I mean, we had a couple of things happen because we get some exposition between Axel and TJ that happens right after Mabel's get killed.
Yeah, that's where you learn the love triangle.
Yeah, this is where the love triangle is really reinforced because TJ apparently moved away to be a rock star or some fucking thing. I don't know. It's not really explained.
Him and his ascot didn't go become rock stars. All right.
He looks like he could step right on stage and be a member of Air Supply or something like that. But yeah, him and Axel are butting heads because Axel's with Sarah now, and apparently Sarah is the flyest freaking chick this town has ever seen. And she is very pretty.
Yeah.
Laura, I think it's Lori Hollier is Lori Hollier plays Sarah.
Right here.
Very pretty.
Yeah.
But TJ left and apparently didn't talk to her for forever. And then showed up and expect her to be right there for him. But she moved on to Axel, a possessive drunk. And so you could tell she's just got two great fucking suitors just ready to snatch her right the hell up.
she's the prom queen of the town, and they didn't forget it.
Apparently she was prom, homecoming, all of that shit. She just by default she just walked away with all those crowns. But Hollis is the only voice of reason between any of these characters.
Yeah.
Because he goes up, he's like, dude, don't you think we're a little hard on him? You can't can't exactly blame the guy. And TJ says, he says, it's not his fault. It's not anybody's fault. And I'm sitting here thinking, dickhead, it's kind of fucking yours.
It's your fault.
You abandoned your girlfriend and left her for upwards of possibly a couple of years without even talking to her.
He
didn't write a letter or nothing. And then
he exists
later is, I just failed. I was embarrassed. I'm like, bro,
get a carrier pigeon.
Yeah,
like forms of community. It's 1980. It's not. It's not 1720.
Yeah, this isn't the 1700s. You didn't have to fucking buy a horse to try to ride back.
My dearest Buford, the hardships of singing songs of the karaoke form in Los Angeles. Like, it's not, put it on a scroll, send it out. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we just keep harping back, just like, it's because you learn about the love triangle, and I was surprised watching it because they're kind of, like I said, like I wrote, this is a fucking melodrama at this point because they're
a little bit,
they're having this beef on like a cliff with like wind whistling, and like it's a little opposite of all the movie because, as you mentioned when we first started talking about it, is the town itself and the mine is a character in the movie.
Yeah,
and it
looks very much
like this movie. What also sets it apart, I think, from being more underrated compared to, like, let's just say the worst of the Friday the 13th.
Okay.
Is it looks great. It's unique.
Yeah.
And that was other fun fact they did have, which is they scouted the place because of how it looked, and the town was so excited a movie was recording that they cleaned it up.
They did, They spent $50,000 cleaning that mine and town and stuff.
And then the production spent $75,000 reverting it back.
Right.
So when scenes like that happen, it does stand out though from a look standpoint because it looks out of place. Because I don't care about you guys arguing. I get it; it has to happen for a movie.
Yeah.
So we learn about that, and then the trucks. Is this when we go jump to the truck stop murder?
Let's see. The next kill, if memory serves me correctly, is, I want to say, Happy dies next.
Yeah, there's the one that happens in almost the in between. Like, it's just another murder of a guy near his truck or the mine, and it's not connected.
Happy's the one that's killed next.
Yeah. Okay.
He gets killed because he finds out, well when they find Mabel, obviously when they find Mabel, they that's when they're hardcore, like, yeah, we're shutting down the dance.
Yeah, she died of a heart attack, and
they don't want to say what they don't want to. And this is very Jaws. You mentioned Jaws earlier, because the mayor, instead of warning these people, hey guys, we cannot have this party. Somebody is killing people because of this fucking party.
It's straight up Jaws.
And you're right. He instead of warning people legitimately that they are going to be in fucking danger if they party, he just says, "Oh, they won't have the dance if we just tell them to not."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because kids always listen to their elders, right?
Yeah, and then they have a party at their mine
house.
House.
One place that they absolutely should not have a fucking party at, where the whole origin of this guy started.
And this is Canada, guys. Like, they're all above 18. It's legal to drink, so they could put music on at their local bar. I'm sure one of them at least has a house.
Exactly. They could have had a private little get together, but they wanted to have
a big boisterous
party. They go to the mine, and that was TJ's brilliant idea, because
they go into the mine eventually, but I mean they go to the mine area, whatever their hall is, to how
it's like a rec room.
Yeah, how firemen have a rec room. It's
absolutely.
That.
Yeah. Can we talk about how in the 80s apparently it was okay for white men to kidnap blonde women?
Oh, all the time.
Because in 1981, it was okay, apparently, to I don't know if you had an allowance as a white man, but you could definitely kidnap a blonde girl in the middle of the day and not have to worry about it.
How do you think I
Because
got my
that's
wife?
exactly that.
Like,
That's fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, and TJ straight up kidnaps Sarah. Doesn't he? She's
Oh,
working, and
yeah.
he fucks
No,
because
he
he
picks
gets
her
into
up.
it with Axel at work. Because
He
he gets
does that.
into it with Axel, and then he's dismissed early, so he cleans up and he goes to Sarah's work and just kidnaps her from her work. The
Well,
whole
that's
time she's like, "Can you stop it?" And he's like, "No," and then he shoves her in the car and then drives
yeah.
off with her.
He like cop puts her head down.
He
Like
does,
he's like
yeah,
get in the
100%.
car.
Watch your
And
head.
and that's that. Like it pops up in a lot of movies. I've never noticed that, to be honest. But where a man will just come in and go, "I'm taking you
I'm
out," and it's like
taking
she has a
this woman.
shift. She works at the bank.
Yeah, it's like,
Like,
bro, what? She's in the middle of her shift.
yeah,
I might call the cops.
I gotta pay because I think it still happens in I hate that I'm gonna say this in bad Hallmark like Christmas movies because I watch a lot of those, and I think that trope is still there. Well, they'll come in to their work and be like, "I got chocolates."
It's
They'll be
time
like,
to get rid of that, y'all.
yeah, that's weird.
Filmmakers, don't let people kidnap people. It's not playful, y'all.
I just feel like with that scene too. So TJ captures her, and I just feel like you have, but then at the same time you have like Axel just like stewing about this instead of just doing something.
Because he shows up at the bar later, he's like, "You seen Sarah?" TJ's like,
what about
it?
it?
Ain't my turn to look after her. Like, okay,
She's
mine's 9 inches.
She's
9.5 here, Sonny.
She's such a piece of property.
She is. She wants these two fucking assholes, man. It's awful. I feel bad for her choices.
Yeah, it's
like
we're a few years away.
It's really her jam. It should be anyway. These are her two choices.
We're a few years away from having Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street.
We are.
You know, where I feel like she's smart, she's making decisions.
Yes.
And that is the one noted because especially with the new Scream out, there's so much talk now that like right this month of Final Girls. This movie does not have one. Whether it's a girl,
it does not. It has Scream Queens.
Yeah,
and Sarah shows a couple of Final Girl traits, and that's it. But at her core, she is essentially a Scream Queen.
Yeah,
the character's a Scream Queen in this for sure.
And that was interesting. Like really recently, the other note of character-wise, this has nothing to do with horror. Is the Canadianness of it. I love that this movie's riddled with Bob and Doug Mackenzie's. For anyone listening, that's the SCTV Rick Moranis and the other comic. Yeah, it's riddled with that level of Canada of like bumbling like drinking buddies.
Nice.
And I noticed that I wrote that note in just talk back out. But yeah, so more of a Scream Queen. Like really don't have the final girl in here, which is. It's interesting. I think it benefits more if it had it, right?
I tend to agree. I think that
I'd like to see
I would have liked to have seen Sarah get a little tougher.
Yeah, I mean, I'm jumping around here. I'd like to see like at least TJ eat it. You know, and she has to overcome it, and like maybe one of her other girlfriends lives.
Well, that unfortunately that would have been a different movie because at its core, this movie is also a whodunit.
Yeah,
and it's very much shot for us to believe that it's either Axel or TJ.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course for anybody listening, spoiler alert, it is one of them.
Yeah.
But they that would have unfortunately if TJ would have bought it nice and early, and then her have to, stand up and this force off herself. Unfortunately, that would have played against what the movie kind of had it going. But I think I tend to agree. I think that a good, strong final girl would have really been awesome. in this movie. Maybe for the fan, because there's a fan film sequel.
Is there
right now? It's I actually backed it.
Nice.
Like Indiegogo or Kickstarter or one of those ones, and it's called Valentine Bluffs.
Oh,
and
write that down.
Yeah, check it out. I'm excited for it. They've made some really good. They're in their stretch goals right now.
Oh, good. Oh, so we can still donate.
Yeah, you can still donate, and
I'll get the link. We'll put it in the description.
Yeah, Valentine Bluffs. I'm really excited for it. They've even got I think they've even got a couple of celebrities coming.
Oh, cool. No, I mean it's the one surprising, and I know we have more of the movie to go through, but thing about this that there was never a we have the rights. Let's just make a sequel. Because I was thinking about this today when I was driving about how like even something like Pumpkinhead, right? That has a string of sequels with like minor can't even call them celebrities of the time, and they're not very good. They're not like the first movie, but someone made them.
Yeah. I think Jeff. I want to say Jeff Burr or no. I think Stan Winston.
He did
directed the Pumpkinhead.
He did the first Pumpkinhead. He made the first one.
Did he direct the first movie?
Yeah, and then I don't know the sequel.
I want to say I landed on the name Jeff Burr. I want to say Jeff directed Pumpkinhead 2.
And that's just my reference of like, not the most successful 80s slasher in the not even a slasher, but feature.
Yeah, it was Jeff Burr.
But oh, nice, good, good points.
Can't believe I pulled that out.
So, but that's kind of what surprised me. I'm like,
it's a shame too because Paramount had this movie.
Yeah.
So Paramount could have had Friday the 13th and My Bloody Valentine franchises going. And obviously, I think what determined this one not getting a sequel was the fact that it really didn't make a lot of money.
No, it didn't make money, and they, we only got our restorations and everything because of the remake.
Because it did develop, thankfully,
a cult following
years later. Because you got fucking guys like me. Because this is 100% my favorite 80s slasher.
No, that's great. You and Quentin Tarantino.
I absolutely love this fucking movie.
I'm glad you picked it because I love discovering things I haven't seen, even when I think I haven't. Right. But yeah, so and then we'll just go right. We'll get right to the party. And,
let's get to it. Yeah, let's.
I've just been like, I think that's really where we're at, though.
That is pretty much where we're at.
Like this party, and the party does feature, and I have to imagine
let's talk about Happy's kill real quick, though.
Yeah, please,
because that's another one that got absolutely destroyed, of course, like they all did. His kill, when we see his kill, we get the illusion that he gets pickaxed through the chin, because the miner swings the pick up, the pickaxe.
He does that in the remake a lot.
Yeah, he does. That's how he kills our boy Tommy Axe. And they cut away super bad in this, but man alive, like his kill is so savage. It goes up through the chin, and the pickaxe comes out his left eyeball and pops his eye out and everything. And we get a great look at it. The practical effects are amazing.
And
then of course, he drags the body off with the pickaxe still in his head, with the pick sticking out, and we get shots of that and everything.
I'm upset that
it is so good.
I invited you on and I didn't watch this version because it happens so quick that it truly doesn't register in the scheme of the movie without that added to it. Yeah,
it does happen very quick. All the kills are more or less alluded to than actually shown us in this in the theatrical release, and it's kind of a shame because those guys worked really hard on these fantastic effects that we didn't even get to see for a long time. And
when that happens,
really glad that they were able to that they were able to restore most of that, because that kind of work should never go unseen and unappreciated, in my opinion. I'm a huge fan of practical effects. Like I can't stand what they did to the Thing that came out.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, because those practical effects were so amazing that those guys put together for that, and then they were just like, just use the digital.
I wish we could get a cut of that movie.
Me too.
With them, and I was going to say the same. It's the typical punching bag. That's why the original Star Wars stuff is such a slap in the face. Of like the first A New Hope is like that team won Oscars for special effects.
Yeah.
And, their creator, George Lucas, said, no, I'm going to go over with it. And just that explosion we did practically, double it. It does.
Yeah, exactly.
You said it's an insult just for this movie and the thing and all that happens to. Mm-hmm. It's an insult. And I'm really glad you brought that up because it should be acknowledged. I get cutting a movie. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous when, if it was like, well, there's a 4-hour cut of My Bloody Valentine. It's like, no, that's an assembly cut. That's not a cut.
Yeah.
So that's really neat, so we get that, and then I would say the next death would be
Dave,
the hot dog, right?
Yeah, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave. Drowned in hot dog water.
Speaking of sleepaway camp. That's sleepaway camp right there.
Yeah, that's the cook.
Yeah, that's the right pedophile there. Cook.
Yeah,
that's a weird movie. But
it is.
I love it, but it's a weird fucking movie. But no, that reminded me because because there's things in My Bloody Valentine like that's a scene where they do it for humor. I mean, he's drowning in they're boiling hot dogs.
Oh God, the uncut version of it. There's a great shot in the water up at his face with his face in the water and hot dogs floating around.
I'm so mad.
Yeah, I looked at the time. I'm telling you, after this, you need to pop that in and watch
Bryan, it. I was like, all right, 80, 83, there can't be much difference.
Bro, you know as well as I do now, and sometimes you don't think about it, but 10 seconds in a movie is a lifetime. And it really is, because fuck 3 seconds in a movie.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking. That's what that is. Yeah. That's all what it was. All right, I'm up.
When you do watch that, when you do sit down and watch that, though, definitely text me and let me know afterwards what.
Yeah, I will.
It is so.
It might honestly go on tonight again.
I'm telling you, brother. Yeah, it's it really is. It really is done very well.
This is a smooth-paced movie.
It is.
So they're partying, and then this is where my gripe or main hang-up with it is the party itself is just what they've been doing the whole time. I'm sure
exactly.
I'm sure you've been out with friends before too, because I know I hit a certain age where we're like, all right, well, you want to go to that place? We're just gonna hang out with us.
Yeah, it's here.
But now it's
pointing that out because
now it's $8.50 a beer.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
But I get it. I love going and doing things, but that's what they look like. They're just like, all right, now we're gonna have a party at another location, and it's their work. It's their place of business.
Yeah. But they had to have it here because it does lead to the setup for the fight. But you're right; it's so goofy when you think about it, because they literally could have done the exact same thing at that bar they were at, or at their buddies.
But the setup here, though, for the base of the movie is better than let's compare it to the remake where you said they're using name alone. It's the only reason why the remake you could have called it Pickaxe Man and
you're 100%. And like I said earlier when we first started recording, that's my gripes with the remake. While there's not many.
That was a fine one.
It's a fine remake, and I certainly enjoy it. I own it. I bought it. I mean, I watch it regularly. I
probably would buy it if I see it.
I introduced it to a buddy of mine the other day, and he thought it was fun too. He was, but then we watched this one right before it, and he was like, "Oh, the original."
You guys are covering it, I think, at the end of the month.
Yeah, we're gonna do My Bloody Valentine, the remake in February.
I'm a fan and I listened, and I remember this morning, and you guys are also covering, and I love this movie. I'm happy you're covering it because not many Valentine's movies. The Loved Ones.
Yes, we're doing Loved Ones,
and that's really cool. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited because Andy's never seen that. I've only seen it once. But,
real side tangent. I watched it when it was released because it was ooh, cool, this indie thing, and I was at the early 20s, so I thought that was like what I had to seek out. I loved it, and I own it. Haven't watched it this year. I was watching it, and I forgot how fucking dark it is.
It is.
Like, you don't watch it for a while, and you go, well, it's really poppy. Anyway,
it's a savage movie.
She's a great. Speaking of just fucking.
Oh, she's wonderful.
Queens,
oh,
she should be in the Lola. That's not this. I'm sorry, but you mentioned it, and I while I'm talking, I had to mention that I was happy to hear that that's getting some play.
Yeah.
But so we get sorry.
Yeah,
so we get murdered by some hot dogs. And that's no. And then my Sam Abel was my favorite kill, but actually my favorite kill because it's so graphical, like look wise, is the couple canoodling. Yeah, I say canoodling in in the steam outfit room. I don't know what like.
Yeah, it's like it's clearly like the near the locker room because
the
showers are right there.
It's big. It's like Freddy's boiler room though.
It kind of is big, but I guess and since this was filmed at an actual mine,
it exists.
It exists, and it makes sense too because obviously you get one shift leaving and another shift coming in, and you're dealing with shit like that. Like, I mean, at my work, I work in, I told you what I do. I build the F-150 for here in Kansas City, and we have big ass locker rooms too.
Oh, sure.
But now nobody uses.
I'm a graphic designer. This is my office.
Well, we don't get like filthy dirty like those guys do. So hardly anybody uses the showers at all. And they're nice facilities. They are. I've used them before. But hardly at all. We don't get filthy dirty. But those guys, it would be like they would have to shower right then and there when you get up from that. So
that's soot.
Yeah, that's nasty ass shit. I wouldn't want to get all that shit in my truck or my car or anything like that.
It's like everyone's seen Zoolander. It's like Zoolander of him in the mine shaft.
Yeah,
get the black lung pop.
Yeah. But yeah, this is another really
this is the most I have one. We'll get through it soon. Gripe with one death because all of these deaths they have like great setup, great fun. This one though, it's not so much the death; it's that area you're talking about, that locker room.
Oh, okay.
And the because what did they just get the pickaxe, right?
Or the hook?
Yeah,
she gets spiked on a shower head.
That's okay. The spike on the shower head, and you see the water coming out with the blood. And I know that's from the unedited.
Oh no, that's actually on the theatrical.
Okay, that's what
the kill itself is. You don't see the kill itself in the.
But the setup is the suits. They're falling and they're very like.
Theatrical. They pay homage to that in the remake too.
Yeah, and to me that was like fun because you don't know which going in, and it does have a little nightmare vibe to it, and it's all falling.
And of course, one of those suits is Happy because he hung him up in one of those things, and it pops down, and that's what scares the ever-loving shit out of her. Is Happy's body comes down. He's got that, and he's got all that. He's got like a fucking hook through his face and shit because that's what he was hanging from up there.
And that's the closest we get to our classic in every slasher movie almost body maze at the end.
Yeah,
that's the closest body maze we get.
Yeah.
But so that kill happens, and simultaneously, and I don't want to poke holes too much in. Like, obviously, we're just having fun talking about it, because I'm wondering how does he get from place to place.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because I have thoughts.
We go to the mine. We go into the mine shaft. The party says, Hollis, and everyone's like, fine, let's get down, but we got to be tight and real quick. And it's the three girls. Sarah goes with them.
Yeah, it's Sarah, Patty, and Harriet.
And
then Mike, Howard, and Hollis.
And this is where we're going, and this is where I wondered, because we just had the kill we just spoke of, where he's up there, and we see we already spoiled the killer, right?
It's excuse me, it's Axel.
It's Axel. So,
but you know what? Since we're talking about it, let me tell you that while I genuinely love this movie,
sure.
I truly do, for all of its flaws and everything. There is no fucking way Axel can be the killer. It's impossible. This movie, while like I said, love it, it is very flawed. I think there's actually a bona fide editing mistake in this movie. I truly
really.
Yes, I do. I'm probably wrong, and I'm probably just reading too into it. But I have probably seen this movie well over 100 times.
Good. 1 to 100. That's why it's gone.
There is no fucking way it can possibly be Axel. And here, let me explain one reason why. The second kill, which would be Mabel. Okay, he couldn't have killed her and got back to his, but because they left from the bar together and went to the junkyard together, because Hollis and Howard and Mike are cooking.
They're all together.
They're all together. TJ comes up later and he meets them there afterwards. TJ leaves the bar early because he got pissed off that Sarah was not fucking on his jock. All right. Yeah. And she goes to play a song, and then he bitches and he leaves. He leaves early. He's the one that's left. But all the rest of those guys are all still together. Axel couldn't have left, killed Mabel, disposed of her body, and had done all of that, and then got back and beat TJ back to play the fucking harmonica like a drunk guy in a car, because that's what he was doing. There's just no way that it's Axel. I think they edited that wrong. I think they meant to edit that because when TJ and Axel get into it, Axel leaves.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I think they should have cut to Mabel's kill.
Oh, you think it was just an out of order?
I think they accidentally swapped the scene.
That's possible. I mean,
because it makes no sense for it to possibly be Axel because of that sequence. It just doesn't.
And not saying if it's any time point, but like no one's looking at it like this back like that.
No, of course not, and that's fine. And like I said,
no, I'm so glad you said that because it makes sense because this movie actually would have benefited from, and I mentioned a few times because it's been so from the Scream revival, like boom.
Yeah.
Like My Bloody Valentine, almost you could have got a legacy sequel.
Yeah.
In the 90s.
Yeah.
And that formula would have worked so well of that look of like the 90s. Like,
absolutely, yeah. That whodunit, who is it, the killer kind of approach, yeah.
You earlier mentioned about the whodunit, and the other movie that I think this inspired a lot from too, because it's one of my dad's favorite horror movies of all time. And I always forget it's a whodunit. Is When a Stranger Calls.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And this movie is that with like it's a detective story except for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, you're right.
Which is just interesting because like you don't get those that's not the structure really anymore. It's like, well, let's worry about the horror and the detectives they'll be in the background.
Right. Yeah.
So our we haven't mentioned much in this conversation, but our detective and mayor, they get a lot of screen time as much as these kids.
Yeah,
they're just not doing anything very interesting. They're just kind of discussing everybody that happened.
Yeah, they're just they're opening heart-shaped candy boxes and trying to figure out, because they spend most of their time trying to figure out where Harry Warden is, because they think it's him, and they've placed calls to like the mental institution that he was locked up in and things like that to try to find out where he is, and they're not getting any assistance from them at all. I love it how dismissive she is. She's like, he's either not here anymore, or he's been discharged, or he's on the slab. Take your pick.
I love that scene.
That's a good scene. And he's just like, one of three, I need to know where this man is. They're super over dramatic in this movie. Yeah. And I really love it. I'm here for it.
It's like, I'll have it in a week.
Yeah, that's what she says. She's like, it'll take weeks to go through all of that. And he's like, I need an answer today.
You know what? I get it. People ask me that all the time at work. They're like, I need it today. I'm like, well, it just doesn't take that.
Yeah, it just
takes time.
It's going to take time.
Someone has to physically do this. So we're in the mine now, and now this is the climax, and it's perfect. I mean,
I agree.
The atmosphere is good.
This is what was missing in the remake.
And then this is where you are you know what's coming with kills, but you're expecting them around which corner.
Yeah,
and I think they do some surprises with that.
I do too. I like that they utilize the shadows of the mine really well. They, I mean, it's that whole. It comes back to what I was initially talking about when I said that I feel like the mine is a character in and of itself in this movie.
Sure.
And this is its time to shine, and is the final act. And I think this final act is very strong in this movie because, I mean, there were 6 when they came down, and then of course we have the when John finds Sylvia hanging in the shower, and then somebody finally finds Dave's body.
Yeah, the body maze kind of.
TJ and Axel kind of team up, you know, and it's super funny. They like bro power unite kind of thing, and
then that's when that happened. That's after the reveal. That's when I questioned. I was like, what? They united and the kills were happening.
You go here and I'll go here, and then they even do the buddy shake thing. Be safe, you know. Love you, dude. And you know, they broke that
squash. We gotta go save Sarah.
Yeah, we gotta save Sarah. I love the way Axel says Sarah.
So real quick because I mentioned him earlier. Axel this whole time, not Axel, I'm sorry, TJ this whole time, you can't take him seriously. He's wearing an ascot, and he just doesn't look like he's gonna kick anyone's ass or save the day.
He doesn't either.
No, he doesn't. But
one time he gets into a fight with Axel, he gets punked. Doesn't he?
But the movie wants you to think he's a tough guy.
It does. It tries hard.
His Canadian tuxedo and his ascot, and I mean this very respectfully, he looks like a dandy.
He doesn't look like a tough guy now.
Yeah, in every sense of the fashion with how Southerners use it, like you're not a mine worker. You are my job. You are an office worker.
Well, he wasn't trying to be a mine worker. We know that he wanted to go off to go to California.
I swear, remove the ascot. Your attitude of this scene changes 100%.
100%. Yeah, exactly.
I had to get that right now because it was it was a whole time I couldn't focus on anything else except being like, what? What's with the? You're not Fred from Scooby Doo.
What's going on?
It's pretty. But they go down there. They team up, and now unfortunately we do see Hollis's death and then Red Dress's death. Harry.
Yeah, Patty dies.
Patty
everybody, because Mike and Harriet get killed while they're off making out on their own. They get killed off screen.
Yeah.
Hollis finds them and gets killed because he found them. He gets nail gun to the head.
So that was my one. Was it nail gun? See, my question. This is a little dark at the moment. Was it? He doesn't use a gun at any time, does he?
No, it's not a gun.
Okay.
It's very much a nail gun because it shows them actually load like a nail in there.
Yeah, my one thing was like, oh, that's weak. Like he pulls a gun out at some point, and all the other kills are. But that's a nail gun. It makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a gun. I'm like that is.
Yeah, he nail guns him in the head twice. In the uncut version, it's a much longer death, and because in the theatrical version, he loads one nail and then is able to fire 2 shots.
Okay.
But in the full uncut version, he loads a nail, shoots him in the head, and then it shows him actually load another nail and then shoot him again. But then he walks it off. It's like he's gonna be fine. He's just gonna walk it off. But he walks off and finds the girls because at this point they've already run into TJ. TJ's warned them. And Hollis dies here, and Howard. I think he falls on Howard, if memory serves me correctly. Yeah, he does. He falls on Howard.
Yeah.
Yep. They quickly they've been dispatched, most of them, because now it's just Howard and the girls from the original 6.
Yeah, Howard the girls, and
him being the hero he fucking leaves them. He runs off and just leaves these 2 girls while the killer is actually walking towards them.
Because this movie is a feminist statement.
They're gonna be fine. They don't need Howard.
But Howard runs off, and you know what? Howard's credit though, he does get the message.
Yeah, he knows. He's like, we gotta get the fuck out of here, But it's funny because Howard's apparently he's new to the mine. He hasn't been working there very long, and because it's mentioned earlier in the movie, because he says it again. He's like, I don't even know my fucking way around here. He's like, I don't even know how to get out of here. And so leaving him with the girls was probably not the best idea.
Yeah.
And he just leaves. He just leaves these 2 poor girls. But yeah, I think they're right now. Axel shows up, and he takes the girls, and then they meet up with TJ to try and take the elevator up. And this is where they climb up, and this is a really cool reveal because Howard falls from the fucking up there, and he's got like a rope tied around his neck, and it rips his fucking head off. The snap is so bad that it literally rips his head off.
Like they said, the kills are creative. I find myself, because of that and the smoothness of this. I'm not, like I've said a few times, I'm not the biggest Friday the 13th fan like most people, because I didn't really grow up. I grew up with like Freddy vs. Jason and Jason X, and I saw the first one and then the blended together and all that shit. So like, I like this as an 80s slasher better. I get more out of it. Even from this one watch.
A fucking fun movie.
For shit like that, like the head ripping off, and
it's fantastic.
Very Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
there's some really fun foreshadowing in this movie. When you've seen it as many times as I have, there's some fun foreshadowing of deaths. I'll touch on those real quick.
And then please.
Up the movie. Let's see. The funnest. I'll get to the funnest one later. Obviously, Patty is talking about. She's talking about going to the Valentine's dance, and she's talking about it with Sarah, and it's when Sarah's kind of talking about her man troubles with her. So she says, "Oh, just hang out with Hollis and me. You got to see this dress I got. It's slit up here, cut down there. I may not get out alive." Of course.
Well, that was obvious.
That's a very obvious. I'm not going to make it kind of statement. But then there's a line that Hollis actually says to Howard when they're in near the final act, and they're down in the mine. And Howard says, "Oh, I left my blanket." And then Hollis goes, "Oh, just leave it. You'd lose your head if it wasn't tied on with rope."
Oh, that
literally says that to Howard, and that's exactly how Howard died.
But you know what? I'm a first-time watcher, and if you're not paying attention, I'm paying attention to the movie, but I'm not looking
for. You're not gonna catch that stuff.
I'm not looking for red herrings or foreshadowing. So that.
Here's my favorite one though. Sylvia. When the guys get off work at the beginning of the movie and they go meet the girls at the Union Hall where they're decorating it for the dance, John is dating Sylvia. And when John goes up to Sylvia, he picks her up by her head with one hand on each side and raises her up because he's like massive tall, and then gives her a kiss and sets her down. That is exactly how the miner picks up Sylvia at the end of death and carries her around just like that.
That's so clever. I love
spikes her on the shower head.
It's another underrated part of the Miner too, of just the carrying of the bodies when you get to see it.
Yeah, I love the look of when he's dragging Happy off after he kills Happy.
I did love this scene. He's taking the pickaxe, and we like that we see it because you don't spend. This is a movie where they want to keep our slasher in the dark. So, but he's taking the pickaxe and breaking the lights, and it's from the up angle.
Fun
and he's going,
stuff.
Pop, pop.
Yep, that's
when they're all kind of like, "What's going on?" I know we already talked about the scene, and they're like, "Oh, it's just the mine," because things make noises.
Yeah, it's a rat. That ain't a rat.
Yeah, fucking rats.
Out of shit, apparently.
Those are rats. I'm getting out of there for
fuck out of here. Yeah.
But And then this is when now you have just really the miner chasing them and basically chasing Sarah.
Yeah,
TJ's doing his best, but he's chasing Sarah
pretty much.
And I loved this ending scene of utilizing the carts and it moving.
Yeah, that's fun.
Crawling on the moving, and it had that like almost adventure movie feel to it.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, kind of remind you like of a sequence in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really fun and it's weird. And then this is why I'm upset. There's no sequel.
God, I know, right?
Doesn't have the most satisfying ending.
You know, it
gives you blue balls.
It does, but only because there should have been a sequel. Like if there would have been a part 2, this ending would have been fucking sick.
So take us away with why this has its namesake of My Bloody Valentine.
What do you mean?
He says "My Bloody Valentine" at the like.
Oh yeah, he says Sarah, be my bloody Valentine. Yeah, I love it.
I was trying to get a good segue. I'm not good at them.
Oh, that's okay.
But
yeah, that's probably my fault.
No, you're good. I listen to any of my shows. I'm like, this is the best we're doing of it. But we do get to this end, and people get down there, and the dynamite does kind of get reintroduced, and they're like, they think they kill Axel.
Right? Yeah. He gets buried.
Yeah, and he does get revealed. I'm sorry, he gets a very reveal. They pull the face off and the miner mask off. Or it falls off.
No, Sarah rips it off.
Sarah does rip it off.
Sarah rips it off.
This is earlier I did mention it has such strong sleepaway camp vibes because we just get this, and I liked when 80s movies did this. We get this flashback that's almost dreamlike, and turns out Axel is Harry Warden's son and watched Harry Warden murder.
No, he's not Harry Warden's son. He's one of the supervisors. So.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that's what you meant to say.
It's communication on my end.
He's the one of the supervisor's kids that left Harry down there and went to the thing because he watches Harry kill his father,
and he's covered in blood.
Yeah, he is. He's covered in blood, sucking on his thumb, hiding under a bed. Obviously, traumatized. Yeah, obviously, Axel needed therapy.
A lot of these movies.
Men will do anything to avoid therapy, Joe. They will even kill their friends to do it.
This would be avoided by just some therapy.
Just some little.
It's okay to cry.
Therapy, Axel. Yeah, man. Axel turned into a damn mass murderer.
Yeah, and. As always, what's funny with these movies, and I'm just joking here, and anything like it's like, wow, they really did all that work, just like they became a miner, did this just to make this one thing work off. It's one of my favorite things in movies because it's when you think about it, so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, we were watching Dexter, and not him, but I was like, so and so did all that, all those years, did this. Just to hopefully this thing gets pulled off. I'm being vague on purpose. That's one of movie. I'm just kidding. It's, and he's your killer, and you know what? The reasoning makes sense. He literally goes. It's your Joker. He just goes mad one day, kind of deal. And I wonder if maybe dig a little into it, and this is what a sequel could have done. Maybe he was in more of a schizophrenic, processed his love of Sarah, but also had this killing.
Yeah.
Like, why go through all the stuff with Sarah, but just the murders?
Right.
Because I think the kill still would have happened if a party or a dance never happened.
Yeah, it's kind of makes you wonder. Makes you wonder, yeah. I mean, the madness was obviously definitely there.
So... Sarah, so we have the chief, the mayor, Sarah, and TJ, and they're all in the mine, and they run to the crumbled rocks because they need to see. Really, Sarah needs to see.
Yeah, she says
that Axel is gone.
Yeah, because they find him. It's when they're a big group of people ran down there to help, and they're digging and pulling the rubble off, and they're trying to find him, and his arm pops out. Now in the uncut version, this is a great sequence because she runs in there. She says, "I have to see him," and she reaches down to grab his hand, and he grabs her arm.
Okay, so that's yeah,
and it shows him cutting his arm off with a knife.
God, the theatrical really fucked it up.
Oh, it butchered it. Yeah, because
he's just running away.
Right, because in the final, in the theatrical cut, it shows him actually walking away, and his arm is missing. And he's like holding it.
Yeah, I just thought he was injured. Like if you're like,
but he cuts his arm off because it's all he can't remove it because it's pinned in really bad. So he just fucking cuts his arm off, and then it shows it actually doing it. And then when she pulls out, because his arm that grabbed her is the one he's cutting off. And she pulls out, and her arm flops out and everything, and it looks really fucking good, dude.
I like really to you and to people listening. I apologize for getting the wrong one before recording. But it and he runs away, and then you get like this creepy music playing over. That's like a chant.
Man, it's
and
that is one thing that we didn't talk a whole lot about. It's music in this movie is very, very, very unsettling. It's very apropos for the atmosphere. It looks really, really good. It sounds really good. I mean,
this movie does a really good thing that I think good movies, but specific horror movies do. And you used it earlier with the setting of the character and the music. Movies that make the music a character and use it correctly.
Yes.
Do it well. I recently, it'll be out at this time. We covered Urban Legend recently.
Nice.
Guest on. And I like that movie a lot. But
we're actually going to be interviewing Jamie Blanks, the director of that film.
Awesome, very cool.
Because he made Valentine also.
Yeah, I just mentioned today on Twitter. I gotta watch it. Just recorded that episode like a week ago. But the one thing with that, and this is no insult to Jake Blank or anything, I was like, oh, that score is good, but the movie tries to band-aid some of its faults with the score.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
And this doesn't. Like it's that I'm only bringing it up because I just talked about it like 5. That's awesome. You guys are interviewing.
I'm really excited.
I listened to his commentary track. Very interesting.
Yeah,
but
he's very. I believe he's Australian.
Yeah, but faint accent at least on the commentary track. Nothing too. Okay. It was interesting. I'll bring it up there. It was interesting things of his knowledge of not urban legends at the time and things like that are interesting. So I want to bring it up to you after we record. Okay. So yeah, and then that's that ending of the chanting. And I do want to shout out one thing. Someone on Twitter, I was tweeting out, and they said that was inspired by Black Christmas.
This one was?
The chant.
Oh, no shit.
The audio at the end is supposed to be kind of like Black Christmas has a similar end. I mean, Black Christmas ending is the most unsettling ending in any horror.
Very.
But there's that faint audio over it, and that's what's, take it with a grain of salt. That's what someone on Twitter told me.
Interesting. Oh, okay.
And I said, okay, I'll shout you out. Tony Anthony Zula. I don't know who you are, but thanks for the thanks for the info. So yeah, and that's really where that ends with Axel laughing like a maniac as the Ballad of Harry Warden plays over.
Yeah, baby. It does.
So
that's a fun song, buddy.
I'm gonna tomorrow ride into work.
Ballad of Harry Warden, blast it.
So yeah, I think like I said, there was not many fun facts to pull from this. I kind of peppered them throughout. Just like you, it's Quentin Tarantino's favorite slasher.
Yes, I think that's great. I love that.
Which makes so much sense. I also could just see Tarantino saying that when he was asked the question, trying to just be like a smarter than film.
Oh, yeah, he yeah.
Like that answer changes every like 1 week. It's Peeping Tom.
Oh, that's funny.
But anything that we missed that we didn't cover, like I said, I do. I know there was some sort of things I missed, and I'm gonna rewatch again.
No, I mean, I just want to shout out the music was done by Paul Zaza. Like I said, we were just talking about it. I love the music in this movie.
Yeah.
And George Mahalka, I think he did a really, really good job. Honestly, I mean, it's one of those things where they probably just capitalized on the success of Halloween. Because that's why Sean Cunningham made Friday the 13th. He literally said, hey, Halloween's making a lot of money. Let's rip it off.
I mean, if you look at, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So
anyone easy to listen to, they did that on the Movies That Made Us on Netflix recently.
Yeah.
And they do a good job of giving you that little like poppy detail of why they made that. And but I mean, it's fine. At some point, all movies are ripoffs, right? This is early on where like. You know, things are not just a carbon copy of a carbon copy of a carbon copy. There's some uniqueness in each one. But
I wanna take the opportunity, since we're talking about this movie, and I do this anytime I talk about this movie, is I want to once again throw out there to any video game developers, this needs to be a fucking video game, guys. Okay, if Friday the 13th is as fun as it is to play, because I love that game.
It's a fun game.
Blast playing that game. You get a group of eight of you together. It's the funnest game of hide and seek you'll ever play on a video game. That game, I'm telling you, the setting
so fun.
could be so fun in a fucking video game. And you could take the same format as Friday the 13th. You can have a couple of different ways to try and escape. Like you got to repair the elevator, or you got to try and repair the mine cars to get out. There's so many.
You got to get your suit on.
Yeah, you got to like shit. Like I think that the killer could have some really cool abilities. Like you could have points in the mine where you can like transport from one spot to the other that the other survivors can't, because they're not they're not the miner.
Would you be satisfied if it was just like a DLC in the Friday the 13th game?
If they made it right, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be a cool game, though.
What I don't want to see is the miner walking around a Dead by Daylight map. That's what I don't want to see. Because that would be fucking cheap.
That's like my gripes with I mean, it was just right issue. That's like my gripe how like Freddy's in Mortal Kombat, but it's the Jackie Earl Haley Freddy.
Yeah.
And I don't even like
because Freddy, it's even the Jackie Earl Haley version of Freddy in Dead by Daylight too.
Yeah. It's just what they own, and like that's unspeakable war crimes.
Yeah. Yeah, any video game developers out there, please make a My Bloody Valentine video game. It would be so fun.
Do it. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. So yeah, so the video game. Anything else of the movie want to add, or?
I think we've talked about.
I think we covered a lot of it.
And like,
I'm so glad you're such a fan of this too, because I literally said to a friend today, I was like, I have it's such a simple story and like bareness, like not bare, but like it's a simple movie. And I was like, what are we going to fill the time with? And I mean, I have no problem talking about nothing for hours, but and we did it. So Bryan, where can everyone find you if
well, my very good friend and co-host Andy and I drop new episodes every Monday on all major podcast platforms. The podcast is once again it's called Dead in Santa Carla. And every Monday, just Andy and I just pick a movie and we spoil the shit out of it, and then we kind of give our thoughts on it. And we try to do it in a very fun and entertaining.
It's a really fun podcast. It's
thank you, man.
It's in the rotation. If I see something, I'll go, I'll give it a listen. You guys have a really great time on the podcast. And,
I appreciate that, buddy.
Yeah.
What I wanted the podcast to feel like, and when Andy and I got together and we talked about it, and I told him, I was just like, I just wanted to feel like you sat down with your buddies and y'all talked about a movie.
Yeah,
and because we're not professionals. Andy's more of a professional than I am, because he actually, he dabbled in acting and things like that.
Yeah.
And he's got a really fun backstory growing up in a video store.
Oh, I know. It was that with his
I think his folks owned a video store, is what he said. Yeah. So.
Yeah, his horror origin story was a nice surprise. I was like, oh my God, yeah, keep talking about that one.
I love that he has that's his background. His store.
So really check out this horror podcast, so hopefully everyone listens to the end. But
and if you guys want to find me on Twitter, I'm at Santa Carla Bryan also. So
and you guys do a great job, and it does feel like that. That's how I want it,
man. That's exactly what I wanted, buddy. I appreciate it.
So, all right, you can find me at the usual Chendango1 on Twitter, here on the Flyover State of Film Network, and all of our shows. Stay frightful, everyone.
Welcome to Flyover State of Fear.